Hey, what's up everyone? In this video, I'm going to kind of stray away from my usual stuff and talk a little bit about the market. It's not typically something that I do, but with everything going on right now with inflation, interest rates, kind of the volatility and the uncertainty, I wanted to at least talk about it. And I want to talk specifically about why I still think that investing in apartment buildings, and in particular in South Florida apartment buildings, is still a good investment to make compared to other investments. All right, so with all of that being said, I'm going to give you 7 reasons that I believe investing in South Florida apartments is still a good thing to do. And in no particular order, I'll go with number 1. Capital tends to migrate to less volatile assets in times of uncertainty. So we have a time of uncertainty right here. We've seen it in the stock market, we've seen it in crypto and other areas, but apartment buildings traditionally are considered stable assets to invest in. Commercial real estate is considered a stable asset or a less volatile asset. Therefore, we're actually going to have additional capital migrating into commercial real estate and apartment buildings because it's getting away from those other more volatile assets. So that's reason number 1. Number 2, local banks, lenders, portfolio lenders, and regional banks, right? They have a lot of capital on their balance sheets. These banks actually loan that capital out, they make the loans, and they keep those loans on their balance sheets after they've made the loans. So they have a lot of capital right now. They've been wanting to make loans, right? Lenders have been very hungry to get money out into different projects, into real estate, because they've just had a lot of capital. There's capital coming into South Florida from all over the place, from California, from New York, from international places, especially Latin America, but many other places too. South Florida is a hot market right now, so there are lenders with a lot of money on their balance sheets that they want to make these loans. And why is that important? Well, it's going to continue to drive the market, right? To keep the real estate investments a solid investment, because lenders want to keep doing it. This is a little bit different from other types of lenders who might make loans and then sell them off to a third party, or like, for instance, commercial mortgage-backed securities that are tied to market. They have a more volatile aspect to them. They're going to probably make loans with higher interest rates to mitigate the risk that they currently have. So I would say local portfolio lenders are the way to go, and they're going to give you better loans with lower interest rates these days. And this is just my feeling about it. I'm not an expert on this, but I think they are going to probably be able to compete better in this market than some of those other lender types. But again, that's point number 2, why it's still good to invest here. Number 3, apartments have historically been and still are a good hedge against inflation. We have a very inflationary market right now. So apartments, obviously people move into them, they pay rent. When we've got inflation, rents go up. That protects the investor who owns that apartment building from inflation, or it hedges him against that inflation, right? So that's a good thing. Number 4, apartments are typically recession resistant. Why is that? Well, for the simple fact that when you own an apartment building, you are providing an essential human need, that is shelter, right? People are very reluctant to put their shelter in jeopardy or to have uncertainty around their shelter. People want to have a roof over their heads and have that certainty. When you're renting long-term rental apartments, then you're providing that need to people. That will be one of the very last things that will go from people's budgets. And therefore, in a recessionary market, apartment buildings are still a strong asset to own. Capital likes South Florida. That's reason number 5. Investors and capital love to be in South Florida because it's a great market. I've always said South Florida is a great place to invest. Now more than ever, we've got money coming in from California, New York, Latin America, other places. It's just a good market. The demographics here are excellent. We've got a lot of diversity. We've got a lot of employers. We've got a lot of companies moving into South Florida because it has great business regulations, great tax laws, and the landlord-tenant laws here are excellent. And we also have really good population growth. So it's a strong market. There's capital coming in here. When capital is coming into a market, it drives up demand for investments such as apartment buildings. Therefore, the demand is high, and we still have historically low inventory of those properties on the market. So that's going to continue to support a good market for apartment building investments. Okay, number 6, kind of what I touched on a second ago. There's a lot of capital trying to get into real estate investments and commercial real estate apartment buildings. because of the various reasons, right? Because South Florida is a good place to be, because of the lending environment, because of, the low volatility of apartments. That's just creating this demand from investors, which means high demand, and there's still low supply, especially when you're getting into the more affordable type apartment buildings, right? They're not building any of that stuff right now. That's not being developed. It's actually a problem because there's a lack of supply of that product. So again, if you own those assets or you can get your hands on them, good place to be. Lastly, number 7, a little bit out of left field, a little bit of a different point here, but I think it's important to note, especially in South Florida, we have 2 major ports. We've got port in Miami and we've got Port Everglades here in Fort Lauderdale. Ports are massive economic drivers, and when you put that on top of the current way things are going, the ports in California are, backed up like crazy. So now more and more shipping and logistics is coming into the eastern ports right here. We've got a massive cruise ship business, and although that was impacted by COVID, that is now starting to come back. So the ports are massive economic drivers. They provide a lot of jobs. They also are the hub of shipments, right? So now, especially with online orders, Amazon, all of that stuff, the warehouse space within, 5 to 10 miles of these ports has been blowing up. Just crazy demand for that. All of that contributes to the overall economy. And of course, when you've got a strong overall economy and good economic drivers, you need apartments to provide housing for these people. So it all comes back to that. Apartments are a super solid investment to get into. They always have been. I think they still are. And although things can go up and down, there are plenty of reasons to continue investing in apartments. Just my thoughts. I'm not an expert on the markets or an economy, but this is the way I see it. This is why I'm still looking for investments for myself, and why I'm still helping other people to find those investments, and why we have been continuing to grow out our management company. So thanks for listening. Hope this provided some value for you guys. And if you liked it, please let me know, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.